Hi YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and welcome back to Outsiders, and today we're going to go under the bonnet of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay made by currently FFG, who have done an awesome job on this product. Now you'll probably remember previously that I've reviewed this product a little bit. I've gone into detail a little bit around the organisation of the game, and in this video I'm really only going to touch on a few details around where I want to go with this. I want to do a number of videos around Warhammer and really break the system down quite in depth actually, over the course of the next few weeks. I think there's enough support out there now, and there's enough people interested in this system that want to know more and more and more about it, and I want to encourage more and more people to get involved. Very simply, if I had to score the system right now, I would score it. I gave it originally 4 out of 4 in my scoring system. I would still give this a 3.85 to 3.9. A lot of the issues that I had, because again, like all things, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship. I love the system, but it was a bit, with the core set, which I've got here, it's set up really for 3 players in the core set. You have to add the Adventurer's Toolkit in there to make 4 players. And I've got big groups. I mean, my groups often number 6, 7 players. Now, I would then need 2 core box sets, which seems crazy. However, that's exactly what I did do. I did eventually bite the bullet and buy a second box set. Now, the reason for that is pretty simple. I wanted all the materials I could lay my hands on. Now, I know that FFG have gone, and this is what got me really excited about them again, is that they've gone back and said, well, what we need to do as a business to encourage all types of players in is put all the rules of this system into hardback books so people have the choice to use what they want. I think it's a brilliant marketing strategy, because there will be a number of people out there who won't want to use all the components. I must be honest, I'm going to just put my stall out here and say I think the components are fantastic, and I think they really are unique. Now, in this world of RPGs that we live in, you see a lot of RPGs, really, when you break it down, if we're being honest, they're very, very similar. I mean, let's be honest, it's a series of mechanics. I mean, that's the bottom line. The truth of it is, what you're looking for from a set of mechanics is how well do they help build that game world? How well do they make you feel you're in it? And that is what FFG and actually all of the incarnations of the game have done. They bring you into that Renaissance world so well, and it is a sort of a, for those that aren't familiar with it, it's all Renaissance Germany feel to it, because of the names that he used and because of the territories that surround it give you that feel for it. And I think that's absolutely awesome, and the mechanics here are brilliant, because for the first time ever in any RPG, these guys have broken the mould. And you know, they've been at points criticised for breaking the mould, and they should actually be applauded, because a lot of our RPGs have not changed in format for 30 odd years. And the truth is, for this hobby to continue to grow and survive, companies have got to challenge the normal and come up with really, really interesting concepts. When you think about it, this is really the reason why indie games was born, because they challenge the conventional thinking as an RPG and make you think outside the box. But what I wanted, which is what FFG have done, is a conventional role-playing game that challenges the norm, brings in brand new mechanics that make it interesting for everybody and exciting, and make me want to come back and play it as a DM as well as a player. You want your players to be excited. This system does that. Now, previously, we've looked at the pink box that I've got here. I'm just going to open that out, and I'm hoping that it'll show in a little bit more detail here. I've got all the components broken down into various sections in here. I know we've looked at this before, but I think it's important to go through it again. I've got all my various cards that are in there. I've got some money, bits and pieces. I like to use money and various things that I like to do. You probably can see them there. They're readily available. Fantasy coins. And then I've got various in here character sheets and cards that I can use, or stuff that I can bring up to actually make my board. So that's one part being organised. Another part you're going to need to do is, this currently what I'm working on is a folder, and this is not complete, but on the front here, this is for a particular campaign. It's called The Gathering Storm. I'm not going to touch on that campaign. I love what they've done with it. You can see there's high quality artwork used throughout. However, inside you've got all the various careers. So I've put them onto effectively photo album sleeves. I'm just building a platform to keep them all in, which is what I'm doing. Also, I've got some universal reference sheets. Now, this is a company. I'm going to take this one out, and hopefully you can see that. This is called Universal Head, Design That Works, headlesshollow.com. I'll hold that, hopefully you can just see that. I hope that comes out on the page. You can enlarge it with a single photo frame. Very, very useful for Warhammer because it gives you all, that particular website gives you all the breakdowns for how to roll up characters, what everything means in a nutshell, and it's beautiful. You need to be this organised with this game because you're going to have out in front of you, when you actually sit down, I'm going to show this on a table, not today but in later videos, you're going to need to be very disciplined and have everything to hand ready because when you're running the game it requires you to do that. Now we've said before, preparation is the key. Now you might think straight away, oh my god, you know, this is even more preparation, I haven't got the time for this. But this system, what it does really well is that just by having these things to hand, and just by having little reference sheets that I could copy out for my players, so I can give one of these to my player and he can actually work out how to do his character, having never even seen the system before, it's pretty awesome actually. And that's how disciplined I've got. I'm even breaking down in here for monsters, long range, medium ranges. Again, I don't know if you can sort of see that, but long range, medium ranges, I'm breaking down DM screens, sheets that I want to use within the game. And these are special location cards that exist in the game. And these are beautiful. I'm going to quickly touch on that, but not with any great shakes. That each location does something pretty unique to when the characters are interacting with it. But at this stage, I've kept everything very organised because when I want to run the game, what I love about this system is for your player's point of view, you don't need loads of books flying around the table because with their character in front of them and the cards that they have for their character that they've chosen, their abilities, their skills, all the rules are on them. So at a glance, you know, all you need to do is read that off and that's it. And that's really all the key to it. And I love that because you don't have to go fumbling around in books for answers and stuff. Yeah, there's a little bit of it when you first start and, you know, yeah, there's a bit of getting used to how the dice work because the dice are very unique and it's one of the beautiful engine changes here. Again, we're going to cover those off. You'll see that these dice are not conventional by any stretch of the imagination. They're very different, what they do. Each of them is very, very different with symbols on them. But that's one of the appeals of this game. It's what really makes it work. Those dice tell a story and it's through those dice that as your players get quickly familiar with it, and it only takes a session or so for them to do, they're telling you what's happening within that combat. And you can add lib bits on for the next, you know, and that's what's so clever about it. So really underneath the bonnet of this system is a really, really interesting beast. This is the only system I've seen that covers off stress and fatigue in an RPG without penalising the players, because the enemy penalisation for having stress and fatigue is far worse than the players, and I think it's a fantastic mechanic, and we're going to touch on that. The initiative system is unique to this game, and in my view is wonderful. And there are so many things. I mean, even the character sheets have little, what I call attachments to them, which are brilliant. So you've got little slots at the side that when you put your character sheet out, and again we're going to show this, you can bolt on a special ability that you're currently going to be using in that situation, and you can take out and use skills that you have fairly easily within the game frame. And the sheets at a glance tell you your setup of your character, your next sort of advances, things like that. And they've also done a little thing, I've just included it in the back here, for familiars. So you actually have a card for a familiar, in this case it's a small but vicious dog, which I think is fantastic. My daughter fell in love with this. And you can actually teach it tricks and things. It's brilliantly clever. I mean, it's an absolute winner. And there are some issues to the game, but they've closed them up because, as I say, this is a love affair for me. One of the problems I had with the system was that it only caters, as I say, for smaller groups. Now it can cater for more players. Yeah, I've had to do, you know, the unthinkable, because what I've had to do for myself to make that happen is I bought a second set. I went out and bought one. And now, most of you might think, my God, you know, it's an expensive system as it is. Why would you want to do that? Well, I wanted all the components. I want to run it for a large group. And really, in the grand scheme of things, expense for RPGs is relative, because if I'm going to use this system a lot over the next year, which I propose to do, break that money down. And what you really have, if I use it multiple times, is pennies, cents if you like, it's going to cost me. So for me, it made viable sense. Now FFG have decided that they're going to produce some hardback books in the winter this year, which will give a DM the choice between using all the components in the game or taking away some that they don't like and using rules to cover that. That's fantastic. I mean, what system, what games company's ever done that before? Innovative, that is the key here, really innovative. Now, over the next course of videos that are going to come out to follow this, we're going to look at more detail. We're going to look at, other than, you know, this one really is a taster, a bit of fun, a bit of interest about why you've got to be organised in it, what you get in the box, and a few touch on some of the bits. But following on to this, we're going to look more detail at those character sheets. We're going to look at more detail about what comes in the box in more detail, the various mechanics that really make it tick. But a lot of it is very innovative, and that's the secret of success of what I believe Warhammer Fantasy brings. If you've not seen it, check out the website, FFG, Fighting Fantasy Games. Check them out, have a look at it. You know, if you want to download just a book to get a taste, they do have some books available to download at the moment, but it's not the complete system without the dice and various other bits. It's a little bit limited. However, you know, you can get around that with a bit of clever play. It's not that difficult to do. They've got that on Drive-Thru RPG, so I'd strongly recommend it. And I've just got literally come through the post today. I've got the Winds of Magic system, which complete the magic rules within the game. I'm really looking forward to stripping that down and having a look at that later today. But that's where we are with it. That's the, if you like, that's the taster, that's the warm-up one, just to give you a bit of flavour about the game. I'm pumped up and very excited about it. I'm hoping you see that as well. And trust me on this, it's one of the best systems I've ever seen, and you won't be disappointed if you go for it as well. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been Outsiders. Take care of yourselves until the next time. Happy gaming.